No, Ronnie is not saying, I'm glad you said that.
Hello, Mr. Gross, Squire Gross.
How are you?
I'm glad you could be here.
I am too.
I'm used to people saying that to me.
I know, I was a little concerned this weekend. A weird feeling. Marty. Is Bishop Road in your district?
Bishop.
Yeah.
Okay. You got Ronnie? It's a little crooked. It'll be a little, it's like it's angled.
Hi, my name's Sherry Vaughn.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know him, but I'd be.
Come on, I love it.
Would you be up for dinner and things like that?
Why is it angled like that? But it'll be okay.
I wouldn't be
Just
against
as long as we can hear it.
Alright, I'll get phone number.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's the first time I've ever been offered anything since being a you heard how much she does. I knew this job and pay off for it. When I didn't,
Hey, mic check. Make sure your mics are on. Is my mic on? They're all on. All on. Can you hear me good? Okay. Okay. Making sure.
Everybody here?
I won't sing. I'll just talk. Okay, we'll go ahead and call. Let me go and get the agenda, please. Time. You're okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we're going to call this Barren County Fiscal Court special call meeting to order July the 8th, 2024, 3:30 p.m. Please call roll.
Jeff Botts.
Here.
Derek Pettigo.
Here.
Tim Durham.
Here.
Tim Coomer.
Here.
Marty Kinslow.
Here.
Ronnie Stinson.
Here.
Brad Gross.
Here.
And Judge Bird.
Here. Okay, we got a few things to get done. First off, welcome everybody today. And I know it's been a very talked about meeting, and so everybody's been looking forward to it. I do appreciate everybody being here today. I do ask as much as possible that we are very professional, and I know we can all be that way, and everybody wants the best for Barren County. We all know that. Everybody up here does. And we're just going to have a very civilized meeting. I know we can do that. And so we'll get that started. I hope everybody had a good 4th. Need to approve the invoice for the Heistville Cemetery. Need a motion. Sorry, and this is not paid. This is paid for the Heistville Cemetery account. Sorry about that. So, need to approve the invoice for the Heistville Cemetery paid out of the Heistville Cemetery account.
Make that motion, Judge.
Motion by Coomer, second by Pettigo. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Need to approve the brass memorandum of understanding agreement. Need a motion and a second.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Durham. Second. Second by Botts. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Need to approve the appointments to boards and councils as presented. We are reappointing 2 individuals to the Planning Commission Board, Bobby Bunnell and Lewis Bauer. Need a motion and a second for that. Motion by Gross.
Second.
Second by Coomer. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Hey, that was quick. Okay, so like I said today, so I'm going to start. What?
And we do the pledge.
We typically don't, well, we can, but we typically don't do it for the special call, but we can. You want to? That's
Yes.
fine. We'll do the pledge. That's fine. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
Okay, so what we'll do, so what I'll start off with is we're going to have refugee BG, the representatives from that, Alice and Matthew are going to come up to the podium. We just had an hour-long conversation, both of them, if you'd like to come up, in my office, just so I could learn about what's going on. And it was a very in-depth conversation. We literally had a Q&A, and that's kind of what we're going to do today. So we can address some of the questions, because I do think sometimes people have heard misinformation. I learned a lot myself, and it was I appreciate the time of sitting down. We did address, they were following a guideline that other people had done, and, Barren County is a big part of Glasgow and what goes on, and, Glasgow is a big part of Barren County, and, we do try to do things together. The county was not involved in a lot of the stuff involved to this. They've expressed their apologies on that. No one intentionally left out Barren County on any of that, but now that we are involved, it has been a thank you for the information. So let's talk a little bit about your organization, and you don't have to go through the whole process of how it was started, but just talk about in general what your organization does.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, say that can. Yep.
Is that good? Okay. My name's Alice Tarnagda, and I'm with Refuge Bowling Green. Our organization is a nonprofit organization that serves immigrants and refugees in the Warren County area. We provide English education services. We provide driver's education, help with finding jobs for people locally, and then also some recreational services for youth. And youth mentorship. We work in partnership with local schools, with other organizations in the Warren County area to provide continued supportive services for immigrants and refugees in Warren County specifically currently.
Okay. And your funding comes from, we talked about this also.
Yes, so it comes from a variety of different avenues. We have individual corporate donors, and then grants that we receive. Those grants are both private and federal grants.
Okay. Let's talk about the situation that we're in with Barren County. So your organization, there are two organizations. I myself do not know this either. There is an international, what's their title again?
International Center.
The International Center for Bowling Green.
Yes.
We actually met with the International Center like a year and a half ago. The mayor, myself, and the two superintendents. I didn't realize these are two different organizations, but they are. And I met with them, and we talked to them about this. They came to us kind of similar, and when they did, they talked about multiple groups. And we talked about, Barren County couldn't handle stuff like that. So this is not that group that we met with like a year or so ago, and we did express our concerns for the school systems and stuff like that at the time, and we've not heard anything from that since. So this is a totally separate. I've learned that today, so I learn something every day. So okay, so go back to these. Okay, this is the first time that this organization has gotten involved or had the opportunity to help a refugee population to relocate, correct?
That's right. We are not a resettlement agency. A resettlement agency is what the International Center is. They are in the process of continually resettling refugees. That's not what our organization does. We were approached for a special program just to resettle 30 individuals in this fiscal year, and that's it.
Okay, so going back to the funding, we talked about the funding. So these individuals that are, let's explain, because again, I had asked questions that I didn't understand. So explain to me a refugee. Like, how does someone become a refugee?
So a refugee is a person who flees their country. They have to go into another country for some sort of life-threatening situation. So it could be that in their country there's a war that breaks out, and so they flee their country. It could be persecution that's taking place and their life is threatened, but it has to be a life-threatening situation where they feel like they cannot go home again or they will be killed for some reason. They have to leave their country in order to be a refugee. So they cross a national border and they are placed in a refugee camp where they then apply for refugee status with the United Nations. And so that's how someone becomes a refugee.
Okay. So when they become a refugee, they are waiting for their number to be called.
That's right.
And to be given an opportunity to be relocated.
That's right.
During that portion, they have to apply,
They do.
and we were talking about this, the vetting process, we talked about, asked questions about, just curious for people that want to know, just about if they have histories of any kind of criminal background or anything like that. That is part of the vetting process also. So going into the 30 individuals that were given the opportunity to be relocated to the United States, to this, for you all to place, what factors did you put into place when selecting Barren County?
So one was we already had a network of churches that we work with here locally who said that they would be willing to come alongside the individuals if we were able to place them here, to mentor those families and to help with the resettlement process. So we've been working with churches here in Barren County for several years. So we had a strong network of churches locally that we felt like would be supportive. The other thing is we just recently hired last year a young lady on our staff who's born and raised in Glasgow. And so she felt very confident that she could help with the transition here locally in Glasgow and Barren County, knowing a lot of the local resources and helping with the school system and those sorts of things. Yes.
Okay. So one of these individuals that gets relocated, that's getting relocated here, so they will be, they are funded, making sure I'm stating all this, $1,300 per individual from the federal government.
Yes.
That will funnel through your organization.
Yep.
To help them with housing expenses that we have nothing to do with.
That's exactly right. Yes.
Okay? They are that you help them find jobs, correct?
That's correct.
And I'm sure, I don't know if you all have talked with the industries here. I know you had mentioned that some industries have reached out to you since you spoke.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I've had several business owners, small business and large business, reach out, and there's no secret that we're having some employee shortages, and they're eager to have folks who are willing to work in Barren County.
Okay, I know one of my concerns, in mine and some others, was, this is the first time that we talked about this. These individuals, I know some of our housing shortage we have here in Barren County, which we have nothing to do with where these people are placed. We have nothing to do
Right.
with funding. The county has, the city doesn't either. The city has no involvement in it at all. So you all have dealt with local realtors and been talking about places, because I've seen that we're building places for this.
Sure.
We're not building places for this. I can guarantee every person in this room, we are not building places for this. So going back into the finding the job, okay? I know somebody brought up about them becoming eligible for benefits through the state. If they, let's just say they don't find a job. We talked about this with the Section 8 housing. They wouldn't be eligible for that.
That's exactly right. They're
Right.
not eligible for that.
Okay.
So housing that's available to the refugees that are coming in is housing that's currently available for rent immediately. So the aspects of us securing funding for leases are good old-fashioned capitalistic approaches to housing. There is no competition between Section 8 recipients and refugees in
Okay.
housing.
Okay, another question. So this process starts with 30, okay? A major concern is we're opening the doors for, so this is a one-time thing, correct?
This is a special program that is called a remote placement program. That's why Barren County is a little bit more remote, of course, than Warren County is. And it's a remote placement program specifically for 30 individuals. That's correct.
Okay.
And to reiterate, Refuge Bowling Green is not a resettlement agency.
Right.
So there are agencies who this is what they do. This is all they do. That's not what we do. But because we were approached for the special program, that's why we're involved.
You're on the board, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I thought, yeah. Okay, magistrates, do you have any questions? Have I addressed most of the questions? And
I've got one.
okay, go ahead.
In a way, you've answered, I was gonna ask why Barren. In a way, you've answered that. So I'm gonna ask it in another way. Why Barren and not Warren County?
Well, I'd love to speak to that. I'm not from Barren County. I just got here as quick as I could. I raised a wife and 5 kids here. Barren County is the best place in the world to me. In addition to that, the refugees that we're looking to settle in Barren County are Latino. If you ask anybody what we need another one of, apparently it's going to be a taco stand and a Mexican restaurant because we can't keep them empty. They're full every weekend. And so to that aspect of Barren County, we currently have a strong agricultural community. We have good people who live here, and we have a very strong Latino community already. We have 2 thriving Latino markets that aren't putting each other out of business. One just expanded into the old Dollar General over there across from the hospital. So that aspect of the strength of our Latino community plus the agricultural strength of the county makes it a very, very easy option to say that people can succeed here and have that opportunity for Heritage Plus opportunity in Barren County.
The, going back to just some stuff too, and I did make an incorrect statement that people corrected me on. The county was invited. I think the sheriff was at the meeting. He's not here right now, but he might. I was just referring to, me nor the magistrates, were invited. But again, I don't think anything was done intentional. I've talked to the mayor about it too. And just like what we talked about, I just think the approach of everything has just opened the door to, that's why we want to get the truth out as to what's going on.
I think
So,
Magistrate Kinslow feels like I need to expound
Okay, go
on
ahead.
this question.
Yes, sir.
So I want to do that.
Okay.
So the remote placement program exempts Warren County because it's not remote. And so in that aspect of it, this is not a resettlement community. And so they're looking for placement for folks in a remote community that is not an ongoing resettlement community because we're not looking to create a new resettlement community. We're looking for a community that exists for the refugees that are eligible. And so Barren County fits the qualifications of that. Is that clear?
It is now.
Yes, sir, I apologize.
I'm sorry, I
What
interrupted.
makes Warren County remote, not remote, and Barren County remote?
Okay, I can help with that question. So Warren County already has an existing resettlement agency that is there, and so this program in particular is called remote, not because the area is remote, but because it is separate from a resettlement agency. So there's not a current resettlement agency in Barren County. We are not asking for there to be a resettlement agency in Barren County. But this program is specifically for an area where there is not a resettlement agency. So that's why it's like a remote campus. If you think about it that way, on a college campus, you have your center, but you have remote campuses in other locations. So that's why it's called remote. That's what it is.
So y'all done met with Allen County and Metcalfe County and Hart County and?
We have no intention of going to additional areas.
But the only ones we're talking about, though, are the 30 individuals.
30 individuals.
Okay.
Are any of these 30 individuals, do they have an issue with the government of the country they're coming from? Is there any chance that someone could be looking for them or?
So here's the thing about a refugee. For example, we work with a family from Venezuela in Warren County, and they were university teachers in their country. It's a communist country now, and they got in trouble for teaching different ideas at the university. So their lives were threatened, and they had to flee their country. So this is the types of situations that we're talking about. They could have a problem with their government. They could, because their lives are being threatened for some reason. And that's why they're seeking help to go to another country. And that's why they've had to flee their own country as well.
But there wouldn't be any chance their government trying to hunt them down in the United States?
Not anything that I would be aware of, for sure.
Any other questions?
I'll
Okay.
follow up on Tim. Is these 30 individuals already?
Turn your mic on, Jeff.
I don't know when it's on or not. All right,
Gotcha.
because I usually can tell. Are these 30 individuals you already know these, or you don't, we don't know any age group? We don't know if they're,
No, so
what is a limit on the age that
What-
can happen?
What we do know is there are 30 individuals who have been in a refugee camp for a substantial amount of time. They've gone through the normal refugee process that we've had in this country for decades. And so that aspect of it is simply standard. So as far as like when do they come, when are they placed, all we know is that they're Latino. There's been ongoing discussion of, well, they're Honduran. They're honestly, all of the applicants that we have and we've been approved for are Latino. We can't say exclusively, oh, well, they're just Honduran. They could very well be Venezuelans fleeing communism.
So age.
Age, no, sir. No.
We don't.
They're individuals who've gone through the process.
But is there
currently
a
in camp.
certain 5-year-old? Is it, we're
There's
dealing,
30
we don't know.
individuals. No, sir, there's not an age limit, both on the, from.
Because
from
I
the
don't,
cradle
if
to
a
the grave.
5-year-old, I don't know how they knew how to,
Well, it could be like a parent and a child. That's two individuals.
okay.
Yes.
So that's an aspect. So we're not saying, it's all, you got 15, 20-year-old girls and 15 to 25-year-old boys. It could be a family of 4 with a husband, wife, and 2 kids. But that takes 4 spots.
Right.
It's 30 individuals total.
But what he's saying, though, is like a kid would not come
Oh, absolutely.
without a parent.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, okay.
No, if a minor is placed, they will be placed with their parent.
And in the $1,300, is that a one-time $1,300?
One time, $1,300 covering 90 days of expenses. So
90.
that doesn't cover a drop in the bucket.
Okay. Well, I understand, I just,
Okay.
Are they?
Magistrates.
Am I on, Gary?
Yep.
Okay. I have a question. Of course, my biggest concern is the burden it would have on the school system.
Yeah.
If it was more, whether it's immigrants, refugees, whatever you want to call it, because my daughter-in-law taught at Warren Elementary, and trust me, it's a burden on those teachers down there. And so I understand everybody can say, well, it's not any more, county, city won't be out any money, but whether it's state, local, federal, county, whatever, I mean, are they eligible for programs? I mean, are they eligible for food stamps, SEEK, and all this, you know what I mean? Not
Right.
SEEK, but
Yeah, the answer is,
SNAP,
yeah,
what I'm
go
talking about.
ahead, Al.
That's okay. Let me start with this school system. So we really don't know how many children would be involved in the process. We won't know until the State Department says this family has been chosen to come to this area. And so one of the reasons that we kept the number at 30, they did give us the option to increase it. We said we don't want to overwhelm the community. And so what we would look to do is, of course, to take the children that are brought here and make sure that we place them in several different schools if that's possible, or at least to prepare the school in advance so that they would know. But it would not be more than 30, and it couldn't be 30 if you have adults with them. So it's a relatively low number of children that would be coming in. Go ahead.
Well, and I realize they're Latino, they're all going to be Spanish speaking.
That's right.
Which, it's like you was talking about Mexican restaurants. There's probably not anybody in here that hadn't been in a Mexican restaurant. The Spanish don't bother me. That's not as much of a burden on the school systems as other nationalities. And I guess, people can ask me, I'm just concerned when that door is open, it's hard to close it back.
Sure.
And, I don't want a bunch of, I don't say I don't want it. We're all immigrants, okay? Unless you're an American Indian, we're all immigrants here, refugees or something, okay? Years ago, but I just know from experience with family teaching in that system,
Yeah.
it's a burden.
Yeah.
It's a big burden when you have 12 different languages in your classroom.
Right.
So,
one of the things we did look at in considering which families we would bring here to Barren County was specifically what the schools already have. And so the Hispanic populations that are already existing in the school systems, these new families or these children would fall in the existing categories that are already there. They would not fall outside of that, for sure. Okay.
And we do appreciate when you were looking at Barren County that you did, focus with that, within that group, because we do have a very strong population here that thrive, honestly, in this community, and especially with this being an agriculture community as well. So we do appreciate it, that thought was put into it. But any other questions?
Will any of these refugees be in action?
Go ahead, Ronnie.
All right, so you just said that you looked at the school systems for the people that were coming, but you said earlier that you didn't know who were coming, who would be placed here.
So we looked at the school systems for the nationalities that would be brought here. So for example, there are refugees that come in from Africa and from different parts of the world. What we did was we looked at the existing populations that are already being served in the Barren County schools, in the Glasgow school system. And we would not bring people in who are not currently being served by the school system. There seemed to be a large group of Hispanic people who were being served, and people from a variety of different countries in Central and South America, so we felt like that was a good fit. So we don't know the specific families, but we are in contact with the State Department about which nationalities would be coming.
So there's no way that we can know the family makeup or who these people would be coming into our community.
It's really unfortunate that we don't even know that information. It would help us to prepare better if we did.
What's the turnaround time? You said me and you talked about this.
It could be like 2 weeks even before, like, we could get notification, and 2 weeks later the family is here. So it's really actually unfortunate for us as well that we don't have that information further in advance to help the family.
Gotcha.
Okay, and you also said that you weren't reaching out to adjoining counties also?
That's correct. We have not.
Why?
Well, honestly, we already had a strong network of churches here in the area that we have been working with for several years, who said that they would love to welcome refugees into this area. We felt like Barren County was a very welcoming place, and that was one of the things that drew us to Barren County, was the fact that we felt like you guys would be welcoming to individuals coming to your community. We felt like there was a good work opportunity for individuals. And then we also have a staff member who is from Glasgow, born and raised. And we felt like having that person on our staff, as well as a board member who's an active member in the community, made Barren County very appealing to us in terms of working with this community. We honestly have been very excited to work with you guys.
Yeah, and I mean, here, and I will say this, just representing the county, it did bother me today that you all felt unsafe, that was kind of worded to come. We don't want that, okay? We don't. Barren County is a welcoming community. I don't want anybody to ever think that. I just think the way things have been put out and the information has been the biggest downfall of this, to make it a positive situation. And that's what today is about. I'm just make sure everybody understands that. That's why I'm here today. It's about understanding the facts. We're not opening the door. This is not something that is going to just become a every 6-month process that we're going to be doing. And we are an agriculture community, like I keep preaching all the time. I'm very proud that we're number one. Somebody told me over the weekend that Barren County has the best soil in the state of Kentucky. I believe that. And I mean, and we have industries that can use workers right now. They are posting job opportunities left and right. Hopefully this works out and these people become, employees, and they're not, living off, they can't live off the state. So they're going to have to figure this out.
Yes, ma'am.
And they're going to have to get a job, a good paying job. Things aren't cheap anymore, right?
Right.
So it's not easy to live anymore. So, they're not going to be able to just not work, because they're not going to have a job. And if they don't have a job, they're not going to be able to pay for anything. So, But no, there's no government money being put into this from county, city. That's it, okay? I know some people have said, our churches, that they need to be helping other things, but, I hate to say this, but our churches can make their own decision. I mean, they kind of can. So whatever they're deciding to do, I can't tell a church what they can and can't do either. It's just like what people can't tell me what I donate to and what I don't. So just make sure everyone understands that. But this was just about understanding your all's part. I really appreciated the hour long. I'm sorry if I asked a lot of questions. And I did like, being able to ask this too, because it's a lot to learn. Magistrates, any other questions?
I just got one more question.
Okay.
What are the long-term goals of this? Are these people, do they expect to get their American citizenship? Or are they working on that? Do they
Absolutely. So whenever refugees come, they can't go back to their country, right? It's not possible.
Never.
You can't flee communism and return under threat of violence. You can't flee ISIS as an Afghan refugee who served alongside American troops and go back. So they do desire to be Americans. They'll take a citizenship test. They'll understand the Bill of Rights. They'll learn English. They'll learn to drive on our roads. So they intend to become tax-paying, hard-working, family-creating Americans. And that's what we want to be a part of.
Another question that's been brought up to me that I want to address before we get into the Q&A or to the open discussion is these individuals will not be able to vote.
That is correct.
Okay? That has been a question. I mean, I asked that also myself. And they will not be able to obtain citizenship in order to vote. I know that by the time the election occurs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I know that was a question. Eventually, correct. But that was a question that was brought to me. That was a solid question. And they will, Helena's office also confirmed that as well. So,
That's honestly about a 7-year process
Yeah.
for somebody to walk through all of the steps.
yeah, that was a question that was asked. So,
But it's not a requirement for them to get American citizenship.
It's not a requirement, but most of our refugees really strive for that. That's what we see, is that they want to be here. They want to stay long-term, and they want to be productive members of our community.
Is there a length of time that they can stay without the citizenship?
So they have to apply for a green card after 2 years of being in the U.S. Actually, after a year, they apply for their green card. They usually get it after a year. So after 2 years, that green card is good for 10 years. And in that time period, people usually go ahead and apply for their citizenship after 7 years. But they can reapply for a green card again, and then that would be good for another 10 years after that expires.
So they have to find jobs, correct?
correct.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
They're not allowed to stay unless they
No,
have
sir.
a job. Okay.
No, sir.
Yep.
I've got,
The ultimate supervisor of these people.
Well, our role isn't really to be their supervisor, but our role really is to walk alongside the individuals and support them to help them to become self-sufficient members of our society. So we are walking with them. We are watching what's happening with them. But I wouldn't use the word supervisor. I would say that we are a support system, mentors, and someone who is walking alongside them to make them successful individuals and contributors to our community.
One more question.
One more question, Mr. Grimmer.
If they do have, have trouble and they get arrested,
Yes.
what are the consequences?
The consequences to criminal action, the sheriff can speak to clearer than I can, but it's going to be the same as anyone else. The ironic thing is that the refugee has more on the line than, say, for example, the illegal border crosser, who we have a federal policy that I think most people here would probably not agree with. The problem with that is that these people have opportunity to lose their house because they're not on Section 8. They have an opportunity to lose their job and therefore their funding, and then you get into overall benefits of what it costs to be a citizen versus just a civilian. So there's a lot of dignity issues that come into play in that.
But they can't be deported back to their country.
Not to their country, no, sir.
So ultimately, what happens?
What happens if they commit a crime?
You got to
They'll
go
be
into
in
prison to
jail.
American prison.
Sure, yeah.
Just like-
So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It's paid for by taxpayers.
Yeah, well, but at the same time, for example, the United States government just extradited the former president of Honduras and convicted him of drug trafficking and sexual trafficking and put him in a federal prison as well. So in aspects of committing crimes against the United States, that's our current judicial system, is if you commit a crime against the people of the United States, you're subject to the penalties of the people of the United States.
So you're second? Go ahead, Marty.
I've got a question.
Sure.
You've already mentioned that this is a one-time only. Other than your word on that, what guarantee do we have? And the reason I ask that, what I'm hearing in the community, they're worried that it's a pipeline that once it's open, it's not going to be shut off.
Yes, sir.
Or to use an old, I'm a country boy.
Yes, sir.
What we always had after the horse is out of the barn, too late to shut the door.
Right.
And that's what I believe most people would be worried about, because they don't want us to be here again.
Right.
Next month, next year, or the next time it be 300.
Right.
So address that.
So, yes, sir. So with the special program only allows the placement of the 30 individuals that we've talked about. We were given the opportunity, as Alice mentioned, to increase that number. We didn't discuss the opportunity of doing that. And to the concern of sanctuary city or resettlement camp, that's not what our organization does. So we are not a conduit of illegal immigration, and nor are we a conduit of resettlement. And so that's not our primary objective in any way. Because of the issues that face the refugee issue, then that's why we have been a part of the program. As far as like what does it look like in the future, I think we probably would agree on both sides that we're far more concerned about the illegal issues that face our country in the millions than 30 individuals who have been in a camp for years and seeking to come in through all legal means possible. As it relates to like the future of that, there is no additional program. We have an election coming up that's already been referenced in this conversation. So we have no idea what the next administration is going to do as it relates to the restraining or the opening of other programs. We can't speak to that. But for me personally, I'm excited to be a Barren County resident, and anyone who wants to come here through all legal channels and be a productive American, I'm excited to have them.
I don't think anybody's against anybody who wants to come here the correct way.
Right,
Okay?
exactly.
I can't speak for everybody in this room. But,
Sure.
you know, there's a system you go through. Like
Yes,
I
sir.
said a while ago, all of our forefathers, great-grandparents, they all done it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I don't think nobody, like I said, I can't speak for everybody. I don't think,
Sure.
I'm against nobody doing it the right way.
Right.
Because like I said, it's a long process. If
Long
you do it
process.
the right way.
Hey, it's a
Not
lot.
what- not
It's a lot
what's
easier to
going on
break
on
the
the
law,
side of our
right?
now, but-
We ask questions about, if crime occurs, it's a lot easier to break the law. So these individuals have already shown that they're looking to do things a little harder in order to do it the right way. And sometimes the right way is harder to do
Right
than.
way is hard way
Yes, sir.
sometimes.
But they've done it. They've done it. So.
Okay.
So there's no indication, again, to answer the question, there's no indication of additional programs or placements or anything like that. And then, additionally, that's not the focus of our organization.
Okay. Any other magistrates? Good? Good. Thank you all
Yes,
for
ma'am.
coming, and you're welcome to sit over here, wherever you want to sit at during the meeting in case any questions or, okay? All right, so the way this is going to go, Mr. Richardson, he's my timer, and with the hammer down, no, good. So he's going to time you. Each individual have 5 minutes, unless someone has given their 5 minutes up to you to speak. I do ask that you speak professionally, and we have a civilized conversation. No one's here to yell. No one's here to argue. We're just here to listen to your concerns, just like we listen to their concerns or not their concerns, the facts. Please stick to the facts, okay? Well, there's a lot of things we can't control. But we can control Barren County, and we do know what's going on in Barren County with what was just said. So I hope that helps, okay? So, who wants to go first? We'll do that. We didn't have a sign-up sheet. Okay, you come to the table. You got to come right here and speak. You have 5 minutes. So please say your name before you speak. Okay. Hello.
Hi, my name is Michelle Snyder. I am a refugee from the West Coast.
You're
I just brought my mom back from Oregon.
Hi, welcome.
Her life is in danger. The whole valley that we're from is ringed in fire. It is a very dangerous situation. She was going to go home in 2 weeks, and it looks like she can't now for a month, which makes me really happy. But I'm just saying that a lot of the planet at the moment are refugees, and nobody paid me $1,300 for 90 days. It cost us about $20,000 to move here, and we had friends here helping us and friends back there helping us, so we did it on our own. What I know for certain, you asked for facts.
Okay.
When I heard about this a month ago, I started talking to people, because you know I talk to everybody.
Yeah.
At like the dollar store, my mail carrier. Every single person I talked to said that they could not find housing. Someone they knew couldn't find housing. The woman at the dollar store personally couldn't find housing. She'd been looking for 3 months. My mail carrier's daughter, she ended up having to move to like Horse Cave as a single mom with a 4-year-old, so now she has to commute because there was nothing available. So, I mean, we're looking into hosting an exchange student from Spain. And I think if people like the pastor want to host these people on their own, if people want to step up and say, look, I like this family, I'd like them in my home, I'd like them on my farm. I mean, I have a farmhand, he helps me. He's a refugee from Colorado. His life was in danger in Colorado. I mean, we're in a really precarious situation as a country right now, and I don't think this would have been a problem 3 years ago or 4 years ago, but because of the trajectory of what's going on with we don't trust our government at the moment. So why would we trust an illegal, a migrant, a refugee? Like, they're putting labels on everything. They really mean nothing right now. So I'm sorry that we're not more supportive of this, but we have to be responsible. And what I know for certain is that, just like Mr. Groach said, the schools are overwhelmed. Like, they're barely getting by. These teachers, I love them. I volunteer whenever I have the opportunity. I cannot imagine getting a bunch more kids that don't speak basic English, or a bunch of adults that don't speak basic English. I mean, it's a really hard, and I speak Spanish, and I still have a hard time communicating with some people because the dialects of Venezuela and like Brazil is Portuguese, so like good luck with that. But I think it's irresponsible, and if Warren County and Bowling Green wants to have help more of these people, then that is great. But I don't think that Glasgow, you just got this job like a year ago, and you're doing amazing, and we're getting like fiscally on track, and things are going really well, and this hiccup could really set a lot of our budgets and things behind. Not to mention the whole like cartels, and that's a whole nother thing. Like, I clean up graffiti at Weldon Park because of the gang activity there. Like, I'll go through sometimes when I have time and just like use alcohol and take the tagging off, because the tagging is a sign of what these people are doing. And they said Honduras potentially, well, guess where most MS-13 gang members come from? They come from Honduras. So they cannot guarantee, if somebody's poor, I had a business in Indonesia for 20 years. I built it from the ground. I was stuck there in a revolution. It was crazy. But what I know for certain is when people are desperate, they will do anything to survive. So if a gang member comes along and your $13 has run out because you don't speak English, you don't know how to spell, you can't read, you can't write, you're on land that you don't know, people that you don't know, and someone comes along and says, hey, I've got a pizza box, I need you to deliver it to somebody, I'm going to pay you $10, don't look inside that box, you're going to do it. You know, if you have kids to feed or your own self to feed, like, you're going to do it. So that's all I have to say. God bless you.
Thank you.
God bless us all.
Thank you.
I'm going to speak after my friend.
Okay, next.
So,
Say your name.
can you hear me?
Yeah, gotcha.
All right. So I come from a different perspective as well. I was the director for an organization in California, in Los Angeles. It was Save Our State. It's now defunct. But I worked with organizations like FAIR, the Federation of American for Immigration Reform. I worked with Numbers USA. I spoke on Capitol Hill. I spoke in Sacramento. I was on the border many a times working with the Minutemen. I worked alongside people who had refugee programs. What we endured in California from just, and we would hear this, we heard it all the time, it's just going to be a one-time deal. For anybody who lives or visits Los Angeles, California, or California in general, you will learn it wasn't just a one-time deal. I wanted to give you some statistics, and then I'm going to yield the rest of my time to David, but I wanted to give you some overall so you knew. I got this from my old colleagues at FAIR. You can go to fairus.org. I'm going to cite the illegal immigration numbers on taxpayers first so that you can kind of see the comparison. We have a flooded border. I was just on fair.org, and I think we're at 5,800 illegal aliens that have crossed the border just today. And we are spending as taxpayers, when they tell you we are not, yes we are, $150.6 billion. The refugee program, and this I got actually from a statistic from the Biden administration, $458 billion for refugee programs. Something else you want to keep in mind, before Donald Trump was in office, the Biden administration, the Obama administration was taking in 110,000 refugees per year. When Donald Trump came into office, he closed 23 of the immigration centers around the world, including Honduras, by the way, and I want to mention Honduras here in just a second. And he reduced that number to 15,000 refugees per year that were highly vetted. Now, Biden, in 2023, the Biden, I call them the Biden regime, when they came into office, 2023, they opened up 2 different programs, ECAR. ECAR is every campus a refuge. And they also opened Welcome Care. Both of them are refugee programs where they now want to allow 125,000 refugees per year. Quite a difference from what Trump was administering. And they not only reopened all the refugee centers that Trump closed, which included Honduras, the field office, they also opened 2 more offices. Something you might want to find interesting, when I was going through the World Safety Organization, their website, they have the 50 most dangerous countries in the world. I just want you to know that the United States was ranked as the 35th most dangerous, Honduras the 47th. So where are Americans going to go for our refuge? Michelle and I are 2 instances of people who escaped what is very dangerous territory, and if you don't know this, you should live there for just 1 year, and trust me, you'll want to come back here. It's not that we're not welcoming. And, I want to say the same thing. I go to one of the churches that are a sister church, and I love our pastors. I love them very much. But if they wanted this, it should have been done the right way. I'm sorry, they should have come and spoke into the community and asked us if we wanted to do this. They should have talked to the church body, because I don't remember hearing anything, and I'm very active at my church. And also, if they wanted to do it, then they should take them into their own homes. Because when they say it doesn't affect us as taxpayers, what do you think is going to happen if they commit a crime? Their $1,300 is out. They're not making enough money. They don't even know if it's 30 individuals or if they're families. They say they're highly vetted. I'm going to leave you with one more statistic here. This is from Christopher Wray. 7.1 million refugees that were supposed to be highly vetted. Christopher Wray admitted that not only were they not interviewed, they don't even have their fingerprints. They don't even know who these 30 people are. And they can say, well, they've been vetted by this administration, but this administration has admitted, oh, whoops, we don't know what happened to 7.1 million. Christopher Wray also stated that we are under a high terrorist alert and that there are some refugees that are affiliated with ISIS. So I just wanted to point those out. I want to let David Dickerson come up and speak.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shalene.
Yes.
Judge, thank you very much. Members of the
welcome.
court, thank you. I want to thank Mrs. Tarnaga and Mr. Stevens for coming today. I think they're still
Over
here.
here.
Ah, other side. Very few times anybody gets to my right, I promise you that. Thank you all for coming. I think if you would proceed to do this in each magisterial district and each 2 or 3 churches in each one, it takes a lot of time. But what you're asking for is big-time commitment from this community. So I think you ought to take the time to do it. I think that would be wise on your part, and let people where they live see you, and then you see people where they live, and then you'll get some idea about what some of the potential opposition to what you want to try to do. As Shalene just said, we don't know. We don't know. Our friends from Bowling Green don't know. Our friend from Barren County who moved here with his family, and good for you, they don't know who these folks are. The unknown is the thing that really scares people. Really scares me. It should scare all of us. I want to know what's coming down the street. I had prepared, based upon newspaper stories, some statements today. Well, I might as well throw those out the window because they addressed all the stories in the Barren County Progress, so I'm going to try to wing this, and we'll just see how it goes. Latin America is a large place. Mexico, Honduras, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala. Valen, help me. Is that all of them from Mexico down to Caracas in Venezuela? Yeah, Costa Rica. A lot of different countries. We know that they're Latins, and we think that they're Hondurans, but we don't know. And we need to know. They need to know so they can tell us. If it's a secret, then there's something that's not right about it. You don't keep secrets when you're asking people to come into your home. You need to know. There needs to be no doubt in your mind that this is the right thing to do. The unknown tells us, as it's instinctive in humanity, that the unknown is something to avoid. Unknowns are dangerous. We don't need more dangerous things in this world today. We can't allow this to happen. Not on the basis of ifs and maybes, not on the basis of $1,300 a month, which if we have one accident among the group and they get hurt, heaven forbid, they get hurt, where are they going to go for their medical care and what's it going to cost them? Who's going to pay for it? I'm a cancer survivor. I was blessed by this country to have some good insurance that allowed my bills to be paid. Had I not had the health insurance that I had, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you today, period. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in expenses. A broken wrist today will cost you $51,000 for one night in the hospital and the surgery to fix it. This I know. This I know. It's not unknown to me. I know. We don't know what's going to happen to our friends from Central America, Latin America, if they're injured while they're here. Who's going to pay the bill? $1,300 won't get them very far. It might get them an office visit and a checkup. That's going to be it. How's their medical care going to be handled? I don't know. Maybe you all can enlighten us when I finish. I just don't think you can do it for $1,300, and I don't think 30 people who might have issues health care-wise can be covered by a community or a series of churches. Churches have responsibilities too, and it costs money to run churches today, or to be in part of a church today, just as it does about anything. I think you're getting to a point where charity may not be enough if you have issues that might arise. There's a big difference, as somebody said earlier, between 30 people and 30 families. We don't know, here again, we don't know which one it is. 30 families guarantees more than 30 people. That was both were mentioned in your presentation the other night, so I'm relying on the newspaper report. If it's only 30 people, are there 15 husbands and wives? Are there 10 husbands and wives and 10 children? Are there 30 young men, military-aged men? You don't know. That's the problem. The unknown is the problem. We do not need to have to face that here in Barren County. However, having said that, I want to share something with you in just a moment that I think is pertinent to the conversation. I'm glad that the information's being cleared up. I think it should be more cleared up. We've been told on a number of occasions that this is a done deal. It's going to happen. But we also know from the newspaper report that this is a 12-month process, and let me see if I can find it right here, and I'll read it to you. Quote, "There's refugees in the portal. It's a process that could be ongoing over the next 12 months, end quote. Doesn't sound like a done deal to me if it's a year away from happening. It was quoted by one of our guests here today. That's a quote in the newspaper. I don't know that it's been disavowed, but that's the quote that's in the paper. So I would submit to you as a community and as the governing body of this community that the unknown is what the people in Barren County fear. I think it's pervasive. I think it exists throughout the county. We don't deserve the unknown to be introduced to our population. If these folks want to hold all this stuff up, and I assume you could stop this, couldn't you? Answer me truthfully now. You could stop it, couldn't you? They could. You should stop this right now. Go to every one of the small communities. Go to Bon Air, go to Beckton, go to Lecta, go to Etoile, go to all the places in this community. That was for you, Derek, Etoile. Go to every one of these communities. They all have places to meet. They love to get together in Barren County. We love it. Go to them. Talk to them. Explain what's going to go on. Ask their questions. See what the community feels. You've got a great representation here. These are good folks. They're all members, all of them elected by their communities. A good representation, but it's just a representation. We don't need to do this. We just don't need to do it. I would beg you to stop it. I have no authority to do anything except to beg you to stop this. Finally, I want to tell you some things that really are on my heart about this. We have needs in Barren County, Glasgow that are unmet today. We have a large homeless population. We're not meeting their needs with any adequacy, none at all. We need to fix that problem before we undertake another problem, potential problem. We've got things we have to fix. Finally, or furthermore, not finally, this is the most important thing really, and I have to take this paper out to be able to get through this. We need to look to the needs also of another group of our citizens, our military veterans, some of whom are here with us today. Are we able to do more for that community today? Do we have the resources to spend to do it? And once again, why aren't we helping those who have sacrificed so much for all of us, rather than to commit for spending for people who are not already here? We needed rough men to watch over us. There they sit. They answered the call to serve, and they deserve help from us in return when they need it. They don't ask, but they served. And we should look at their needs before undertaking an event like this Refuge BG proposal. That is without question the primary obligation that we have in this community. Forgive my emotion, but I feel very strongly about the service to our country that these folks have given us. And they never ask. They're humble. You never know. But they should be treated first. First and foremost, we owe them that debt. You all owe the debt to the communities that elected you. I beg you to vote today if you can. I don't know that you can because of the agenda. But at some point in the future, it should be on your agenda. And you all take a look at this and make a motion and second it, asking Refuge BG to stop this project, to not bring it here to this community. If you do it, they won't. because they have to have a welcome. And if that doesn't do it, then that should let them know that the fiscal court's on record as saying, please don't come, nicely. And that translates into the welcome mat may not be out for you. That's a little harsh, and I'm sorry for that. But we need this to stop. And they've told us today, honestly, and I believe that they're honest, they've told us today that they can stop it. It should stop. Wisdom instructs us to count the cost before we undertake a responsibility. What's the cost going to be that we don't know about? Once again, the unknown things. Forgive me for taking so much time. Forgive my emotional weakness when I talk about our men over here. Think about this over the next few days. Come back and ask them to stop this. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Okay. Next, is anyone else? Oh, sorry, go ahead, step up.
Hi, I'm Mike Paget, and since I found out about this, and it was through Facebook that I read about it, it was through Facebook that I knew about this meeting today. My question has been, where's the information? I asked a member of your team to please send me a list of links of information. I have not received that. I went to your website today and read everything on there, and I'm completely in sympathy with what you're doing. My background as a pastor and as a missionary and serving overseas is that we took in refugees. I remember one day, Paulino showed up at my house. The Iran-Contra situation was going on in Nicaragua, and his life was greatly in danger. A missionary there had given him my card, and he came to my gate in Costa Rica, and upon his introduction as a pastor and having my card, we took him in, and he lived with us for 3 months. We didn't have any vetting. Also, we took in Salvadoranians that were in a situation there that was very, very bad. I worked with Latins, Hispanics here. I preached at the Hispanic church yesterday. I have worked with them in this county for almost 30 years now. I'm on the Community Relief Board. I'm aware of different situations that all of you have mentioned. My pet peeve here is I need information. I've not gotten the information. I've heard a lot of things thrown around today. I'm sorry, but I don't know if they're true or where they come from. But if you'll send me some information, email or text me, and send me some links, I'll do the research. I'll try to find out what it is. How many of you have cell phones? Will you raise your hand if you have a cell phone? Okay. How many of you know how to get on the web on your cell phone? Will you raise your hand?
Join in the conversation.
Okay, now how many of you have bothered to go to bridgebg.com and read the information on their website? Will you raise your hand? Okay, look around the building here. It's a lack of information, folks. Y'all don't have the information. You've proved it by your questions. We need information, and you need to supply it. I want to read it. I want to help, whatever I can do. I'm fluent in Spanish. I want to help if I can. But my wife told me this morning as we finish up our devotion time and our breakfast that she didn't want anybody living downstairs in our house that we didn't know who they were. We're in our 70s now. When we were in our 30s, that was okay, but not going to do that now, I'm afraid. But I'll be glad and go and translate or counsel or do anything that I can. And if y'all have needs, I need an information sheet. My son was in Iraq. He was in Afghanistan. He has PTSD. He is 80% disabled and working on his 100%. He still works to support his family. And yes, he has a lot of problems because of all that. I know about his situation because I'm his dad. But I don't have information from you guys about Barren County vets. So if you need my card with my email on it, I'll give it to you right now. If you'll send it to me, I sure would appreciate it. Would you like to have that information so you wouldn't be running into the dark too? Huh? Yeah, on both these situations. I don't know enough to make a decision. I stand before you as an ignorant man, and I want to know what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Say your name, please.
My name is Sherry Vaughn, and I'll give you some information. I did some research myself. So, according to, well, first what I'd like to know is, you say that this is not a resettlement opportunity, but aren't these refugees coming from the UN and would be part of a resettlement agreement?
This is the first time they've done, make sure I'm saying that. They're not a resettlement organization.
They're
That's not their main
right,
objective.
but where
right?
are
It's the
these
first.
refugees coming from? They have to come from the UN,
Yeah.
and through that process, a resettlement agency. No, so they're coming directly from the UN to you.
So there are 11 national agencies.
Yes, you can, that's fine.
So there are 11 national agencies, and so they would come through from the UN to the Department of State through one of the national agencies. And it's through a special program called the Remote Placement Program.
Okay.
It is not, we are not a resettlement agency.
Right.
They work with different organizations, those national partners work with different communities and different organizations to resettle individuals or families. So we are not a resettlement agency ourselves, but it goes through the regular resettlement process, just a little bit different.
Okay, so I can give you the 6 steps it takes when resettlement is approved. So first, they have to be referred to the U.S. to be part of the resettlement program. Then there has to be a decision that the refugees qualifies under U.S. law. Third, they're matched with a resettlement agency. Fourth, there's a medical examination to make sure that they are healthy and not, bringing some kind of medical disease. Fifth, they have to go through security clearance. And sixth, they're given a cultural orientation, because a lot of refugees hear a lot about living in the United States, but a lot of that is misinformation. So they're given a cultural orientation so they know exactly what it's like to live in the U.S. And then once they are approved, one of those resettlement agencies, and I have a list here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 resettlement agencies, then those resettlement agencies offer resettlement planning, health care referrals, employment counseling, job search help, community orientation, and information on educational opportunities. So those are all things that are provided through those resettlement agencies, and I'm guessing that your remote program would be doing the same thing. So that is some information on the resettlement program.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, go ahead, Ernie. Make sure and introduce yourself.
Well, my name's Ernie Wagner, and of course I've been in the paper the past couple of weeks.
You gotta stay at the paper.
And Matthew, he reached out to me the day after. We had a really good conversation, I believe. But I do have to ask you a question, brother. It was stated at the council meeting that these people had been in refugee camp for 20 to 30 years. And I'm not getting that here today. They're not telling me that today.
So the answer, your question is, tell me how long they've been in the camps?
Yeah, that's what was
He's
told at
asking.
the city council meeting,
So,
20, 30 years.
and so you got to separate the refugees that we're talking about. Many of the refugees in Bowling Green have been in camps for that long.
Okay, so that would make them approximately how old?
I'm not gonna say anybody that age is old, Ernie, because I've got friends that are that old, but they're.
Well, I'm old.
Well, they might be close to your age. They might be close to your age.
So we're talking about 65-year-old men.
Or frankly, if they're children.
Yeah.
And they're that old, they might be young adults.
Well, one of the things in it, and I appreciate everything David said about the veterans. You know, we do have a need here in Barren County for help for veterans, and we do it all the time. I don't care whether it's paying an electric bill by this electric plant board that's so extremely high, or helping someone with their rent, buying food, what have you. We've got one veteran that lives in like a storage building.
Oh, I missed your time up, but we did connect those to the USA Cares Group, correct? Is that the one that we connected to the USA Cares Group? They provide funding for housing for veterans? Yeah, there was two of them that we provided information for that, the USA Cares Group. I don't know if that's the same one, so I was just making sure, yeah. I mean, there are programs, yes.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you know, and I hear this constantly from people that these people are going to be settled in some duplexes on Highway 90. I don't know whether it's east or west, but they're saying that they're building these
Never heard
duplexes
Highway 90, no.
to put them in.
No.
Well, another question that, you know, I want to say or ask, if they're going to be on their own, how are they going to get to where they're going? Are they going to walk? They're going to walk? If they let's say they live in Beckton, they're going to walk to work?
So typically, you got a couple options there. I don't know if I need to put the record, but one of which deals with the employers themselves who facilitate transportation. Secondly, as Alex mentioned, Refuge Bowling Green does driver's training. We also have volunteers who transport. We own buses. Now they're not in good shape, but we do what we can to help folks transport to work as well. So as far as like living in Beckton and trying to work in a factory in Glasgow, that would be very difficult. But we are a nonprofit, so we try to find all solutions we can to these situations.
Well, let's say they're not all living right in the same community. And you got some live at Beckton, you got some that live at Lecta, you got some live various places throughout the county. I see where that persists a problem.
Sure.
And I'd like to know also how many of our law enforcement officers, Kent, maybe you can answer this question, that speak Spanish. You got two that speak Spanish? I wonder how many the Glasgow Police Department
I
has.
talked to Howie about that this morning. I mean, they have a translator, I know he said
And
that,
our,
right?
and
He
our
told me,
ambulance,
I think so, yeah, he did say that.
and our ambulance service is another
Garland, when you need
aspect,
him, yeah, I don't know that.
you know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just a lot of
right,
questions.
just something to think about.
Plus, here's another thing that really concerns me. And, you know, it's been on the news, everybody's seen, I hope you watch the news, that we've had Hondurans that have come to this country, recently just murdered and raped a mother of 5 in Maryland. We had a 13-year-old that was raped in daylight, broad daylight in New York. Well, the people up there in that community in New York, they recognized him. They knew that he went to this bar a certain time of the day. Well, they got him. They beat the crap out of him, but He crawled in under the car till the police got there. Well, then you got another one in Texas down here. She's beat to death, well, tortured, sexually tortured for over 2 hours. Now, my question is, on this here, these people are coming whether we want it or not, because, look at here, it ain't got nothing to do with the sanctuary city. This is a sanctuary state. Our governor's pretty much done that. I mean, he lines right up with Joe Biden. Well, I'm just telling the truth. And issue that I have also, let's say you've got one that is 40, 50 years old, or even younger, whatever. I'm sure they got cell phones. And they can get in touch with people in their home country. They say, well, Jose, he's in America. I'll give him your number to tell him you're here in Glasgow, Kentucky, Barren County. Now, he may not went through this vetting process. Then the next thing you know, we've got a whole lot more here. It's got nothing to do with race. Some of my best friends in the service was Puerto Rican, was black, South Korean. I'm from German descent myself. It's got nothing to do with race at all. But I happened to see a statistic that our black population in Glasgow is 5%, and our Latino population is 5.2%. And that kind of blew my mind. But anyway, whatever happens is going to happen. And I was not going to, as far as the city hall meeting went, was going to get up and shout and be out of line or anything like that. All I wanted to do was ask a couple simple questions. And me and Matthew had a good conversation that next day. And I really, really didn't appreciate the way that things went down for me over there. But I do appreciate you, Judge, for allowing us to come today to have our freedom of speech.
Yep. Yeah, we appreciate you
Thank
coming.
y'all.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else before we close this out? Okay. It's been, I feel like it's been a positive, I do appreciate everyone's professionalism and discussion that we've had today. And I do appreciate Refugee BG sitting down with me and explaining everything, so we now all understand that a little bit better. I do agree, Mr. Dickerson, sometimes things the unknown. I do wish we had a little bit more of the information, like exacts, and maybe once we find that out, that would make things a little bit more able to decide or talk about in more in depth. But I do want to make sure that people understand that Barren County is a wonderful place to live. And no one here, like you said, you're a refugee, you moved here. It is a great place to live. It's a great place to live, raise a family. There's always the unknown about everything that could happen, even with people that already live here. So, people move here. We've had more people moving here, I think, now than we've ever had on a reoccurring basis monthly. We are growing. Barren County will grow. And that's not a bad thing, too. I do want to continue to support our veterans. I feel like as a community, as a court, we've done a lot so far, and there's always more that we can do. There are programs out there, USA Cares, that has money for vets that we need to connect those vets to. I think we've given 2 or 3 of them that have come to us the link, then trying to get them registered, et cetera, free money. They're going to give it to anybody who wants to be our vets here in Barren County. So, and we'll continue to do that. But I do appreciate everyone coming today, all the media, and thank you, everybody, for, thank you, Mr. Pageant, also for speaking and giving a different perspective. And anything else, magistrates? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Coomer.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pettigo. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Ain't one no way. I couldn't even breathe. I can't blink.
Thank you. You have a good day. Hey, sorry, my church revival is going on this week, so I can't come, but I'll try to come the next one. Just keep in mind.